Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1 Million by 1 Million Strategy Roundtable for Entrepreneurs. As you know, 1M is the first and only global virtual incubator accelerator in the world, and our mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million in revenue and beyond, build $1 trillion in global GDP and 10 million jobs. This is an ambitious, audacious goal, and it is entirely predicated upon your success as entrepreneurs. We are here to make you successful, and our success depends on your success. This is our 231st free roundtable. So we've been doing this for a while, and we've had a very large number of people, over 25,000 people participate in these sessions. And the recordings are available, so there is a very active YouTube channel where you will find all the recordings. Twitter, if you're live tweeting the show, please use hashtag 1M1M, and if you're following us on Twitter, that handles are at 1M by 1M and at Sramana. You can also tag the tweets, and we will retweet. The YouTube channel is 1M1M Roundtables. You will find this recording as well as the previous ones over there. These are the teleconference call-in instructions. I will put these up again when we are ready to take your calls. Right now, we are going to have a discussion with Tod Francis. By the way, we are focusing right now this month on e-commerce, and that's kind of in tune with the launch of my new book, From E-commerce to Web 3.0, How to Leverage the Evolution of the Internet. The Internet has evolved greatly, and e-commerce has evolved greatly as well. So this book offers you an opportunity to kind of sit down with 15 really successful e-commerce entrepreneurs and learn their stories. And in the process, you also get to trace the history of e-commerce and also get a flavor of where we think it's going. And that is going to be the topic of our conversation today with Tod Francis from Shasta Ventures. I have known Tod for a long, long time, so it's a great pleasure to have you here, Tod. One of the first actually consumer perspective person in the history of venture capital. There were very few. When we started this whole internet industry, the dot-com bubble and everything, it was techies, you know, dabbling in consumer. And Tod was a refreshing exception. And since then, of course, Tod has had a successful career in venture capital. He started at Trinity Ventures and since then went on to found Shasta Ventures with a couple of other quite senior people in the industry. So Tod, welcome.
Well, thanks for having me.
I think the best question to start us out with would be, what do you see has happened to the e-commerce business since the 90s?
Yeah, so if I could maybe even go back a bit further and provide perspective on retail in general and commerce. Sure. Because I think as an entrepreneur, it'd be easy to sit there and think, oh, is it over? You know, like, has everything been done? Has every category been covered already? And I think it's important that entrepreneurs realize consumers are always ready for a new and better offering. If you go back even in the early days of retail, we had the shoe store, and we had the shirt store, and we had the dress store. We had all these specialty stores. Then we saw the innovation of department stores. Then we saw the innovation of low-priced, the Walmarts and Kmarts of the world. And then, interestingly, we saw specialty stores come back with an interesting twist, with more knowledge about customers and more knowledge about the products they sold, like a Pottery Barn, for example, or kitchen stores. And so we see these cycles even in the mall. And so I always like to use the analogy of the mall because the mall is always ready for something new. Consumers are always interested in a new concept. So let's look at e-commerce. In the mid to late 90s when the internet got going, there weren't a lot of people online, but those who were benefited from the early plays. The early plays were, for example, we were involved with Blue Nile, and then you saw, and basically the play there was, let's bring in a set of products that are hard to access, bring them all into one place, offer them in one site, kind of a vertical play at a decent price. So we saw plays like Blue Nile and Amazon, and then specialty stores like backcountry.com start to evolve. And they were mostly selling, at the time, other people's goods. So it was typically, we're assembling an assortment of manufacturers' goods and bringing them to the consumer. And so that was the first wave. And that wave was a really powerful wave because for the first time, if you lived in a rural area, you could access products through UPS and FedEx. So it's really powerful. I don't think we should look back on 1.0 as, wow, what a joke. I think we should look back on it as that was, monumental in providing access to goods worldwide and at a better price. But things have changed a lot, right? Just like in the malls, we saw aggregation of products and pricing variances. We're seeing that online. So Amazon then became, instead of just books, they became the everything store. They became the Walmart, if you will, online. And so that's been interesting, and they've been able to win through price and knowledge about the customer and just so many advantages. So that was kind of moving into the next generation of just doing 1.0 better. But now we're seeing really interesting and exciting evolution with the advantages of following customer interests, of social, connecting with your friends and your social networks, and then also a very exciting new trend, which is vertically integrated direct-to-the-consumer brands, where you're not just selling other people's goods, right? There's a number of players like Bonobos and Warby Parker that are creating brands direct to the consumer and cutting out the middlemen and providing better price and assortment. So I think the overall view on what's going on in commerce is change. And change is allowing for better experiences, and it's always going to be changing. It's always going to be getting better. So we remain very optimistic about the category.
So one of the things that I'd like to point out, we work with people that are very early stage, right? People who are just getting started, and it's not always viable to start with your own products. So sometimes, and this is where the parallel with the retail business, the department store retail business comes in. Every department store, if you look at the P&Ls of department stores, a Macy's or a Saks or Bloomingdale's, they sell other people's brands, yep. And then in the basics categories, they sell their own brands. So you yep. will see the Saks Fifth Avenue Cashmere. That's an incredibly profitable line. I have been in this business, obviously, so I know this inside out. Yep. This is how a lot of people start acquiring customers, building a relationship with customers, and then build their own brand. And on the internet, there's a company that's actually doing a really good job of this. That's Nasty Gal.
Yeah.
Sophia Amorosa started as an eBay seller, and she was selling vintage, kind of very sassy vintage clothing, I would say, is the brand positioning. And she started doing that on eBay. Then she built her own e-commerce store with other people's merchandise, and now she's doing her own brand, and it's a $100 million plus business. Now it's venture funded. It did not start off being venture funded. It was a bootstrap business up to quite a while, quite a size actually before they got venture funding. So when you are looking at consumer e-commerce brand opportunities, venture scale brand building opportunities, what trends are you seeing in this respect? Like, how are people getting off the ground? Is this dynamic playing out in the deal flow that you are seeing of people who are trying to really scale their brands but are starting with something that is a multi-store and then going on to building their own brands?
Yeah, it's hard to put everything in one bucket. The reason why is the example you just provided is actually a pretty classic example of a lot of consumer businesses. If someone doing something they're passionate about, they happen to hit a gold mine or they happen to hit a chord with consumers, and then they start expanding and going out. I don't think she started out saying, I'm going to build a venture-backed business, so first I'm going to sell on eBay.
Not at all.
Yeah, so my point is for us to see plans coming in, we aren't typically going to see someone saying, I'm going to first start on eBay and then expand. But I just want to point out, I think those are the most authentic origins of great consumer businesses, which are people do something really, really well for a smaller group of consumers, and they nail it, and then they build the trust, and then they can expand beyond that. I actually feel that is a great way to build a consumer business versus what you might want to call the business plan version, which is, okay, we're going to do X, Y, and Z, and you may not be authentic or great or genuine at anything. And consumers want that. They want that kind of, excellence from their providers. So I do think it's a great path. Are a lot of entrepreneurs, starting that way? I think it's something people should really think hard about. I like it when, in other words, I think we see more of the grand business plan idea from entrepreneurs, and it may be better, and we like it when entrepreneurs say, you know what, we're just going to take this one pinpoint, and we're going to go after this one set of customers, and we're going to nail it, and if we nail it, then we get the license to do some other things. And those tend to be the really great, authentic brands that build over time. And I think if you look at a lot of the businesses today, they're doing well. They started with those origins.
So when you look at investment opportunities in this specific area where somebody is trying to build a branded e-commerce business, and if they come the first route where they have already been in business, they have some level of traction, and they have some understanding of their customer base, what's their positioning, and why that positioning works, that's actually a kind of more validated business, and you can, my question there would be, what would be the criteria you would apply to gauge whether that is going to be venture scale or not? And then the follow-on question to that would be, when you're looking at these grand business plans where there isn't a lot of that traction. So if someone comes to you with a $5 million business, that's an easier process of checking whether this is going to be venture scale or not. But somebody comes a lot earlier, maybe with a couple of $100,000,
right,
but with a grand business plan, what criteria do you apply? So what we're trying to do is provide our audience a perspective into how a venture capitalist looks at their idea.
So I think the first point is, why do they need any progress at all? Shouldn't a venture firm be willing to back something at the origin? So let's talk about that first, and I'll get to your two stages. The reason we like to see a little bit of progress is multifold. One is consumer businesses are really hard to predict, and it's the execution of the business that allows you to see if that business may have a shot. And so that's point one. Second, it's really, as we all know and we read, it's inexpensive to get a site up and running. It's not that challenging and capital intensive to start moving your business to the customer cycle. So we like to see entrepreneurs who are scrappy enough and can pull that off, because it might only take a couple $100,000 of friends and family funding to get there. So we like to see that initiative and that effort. And then we really like to see what they've learned. So what I like to say is we like to see a full cycle of customer experiences. It doesn't need to be a $5 million business, and it doesn't need to be 100,000 people. But we like to see a customer say, I have a passion for this category, I have a vision for this category, I have sold it to this set of people, I've watched them use it, and now here's what I think the business is. That's what I think for a Series A investor or large seed, it's getting a little fuzzy these days, but the larger round, that's what people resonate to, which is, we had an idea, we put it together, we sourced it, we sold it, we've evaluated it, we've watched it, hopefully they've watched it a number of cycles, and now here's where we're going with it. And so what do we look for? We look for that vision and that passion more than anything else. Then as far as metrics, yeah, more metrics are better, right? If you're doing $1 million a month in gross sales, that's better than 50,000. So, but it's not as if there's a minimum at our firm. By the way, a lot of firms do have minimums. So literally say, if you're not doing 10 million in revenue, we don't want to talk to you. At our firm and most Series A and early stage firms, it's a combination of the entrepreneur and the vision and the passion with the progress to date and the execution. And so it's, there's going to be trade-offs. We'll back people we know or people we respect with nothing, because we've already seen them do it before. If we don't know the people and they're new to the category, we want to see a little more progress, a little more experience. So I'd say general rule of thumb, for early stage investors, if you're showing $50,000 to $100,000 a month in revenue, you're starting to get in the game of, hey, we're doing this. We're in the business. When you hit $1 million a month in revenue, then you start to become attractive to later. I don't mean later stage, but like the bigger funds or a bigger fundraise. But I want to point out, a lot of these companies are getting funded at very early stages based on great vision and early execution.
So the question that I want to double click down on based on everything you said, we got the stage issue discussed at this point, thrashed out. Where, in grand spectrum of possibilities, which markets, which segments do you see venture scale brand opportunities in?
Oh, I hate to dodge this question, but my dodge, I think, is going to be important. I think it's actually hard to sit here and say this category and not that category, because it's about how the entrepreneur sees the execution, how they provide great value to the customer. And I'll give you an example. I think it would have been hard to predict ahead of time that ordering a black car on your iPhone would be a big category, right? But the way that Uber executed, and by the way, that is an example of choosing a smaller category first and then expanding. But the way that they had a maniacal focus on the customer around that first step allowed them to go to the second step, and now we're thinking about it as changing transportation. But it would have been hard in advance to say, well, let's start a way to order limos, right? So it's that entrepreneur vision and execution that was so great, and we've seen that in so many other categories. I actually feel most categories are going to go through tremendous evolution with mobile. So I'd rather put an overlay on that, which is how can mobile change a category? So how can knowing where a customer location is, being able to understand location and past consumer habits affect a category, and then how can new delivery systems change that category? So I'd say every category is up for grabs in that because we're still at the very early stages of quick delivery. We're at the early stages of geo information to allow retailers and commerce providers to know how to service. So as far as, I think every category could be open, and I'll tell you the things we don't like, the things we maybe don't like is a too strong a word, we're more hesitant on, is we're hesitant on anything that's playing in Amazon's category. And the reason for that is if you're selling other people's goods, so my definition of Amazon is you sell other manufacturers' goods at a low price. It's hard to out-Amazon Amazon. It's hard to out-Walmart, right? So between Amazon and Walmart, depending upon which bucket you're in of a customer, they're doing a hell of a good job sourcing products worldwide and moving them to customers very efficiently. So I wouldn't want to go and just say, let's do hardware.com, right? Because I think that's really well done today. But can you do hardware with a completely different twist, immediate delivery to people on job sites? Can you do it with knowledge of other products that they've already bought and be anticipating the needs of a customer? By the way, we're not looking at hardware and we're not in hardware. I'm just saying, can you do it very, very differently for a precise customer base and nail it better than someone who just offers a wide range of products at a low price? Then that's where the opportunities start to get created. Then you can start to build a brand. Then you can build a defensible business, because you've got to realize anybody who's thinking about this business has to think about Amazon, Walmart, eBay. These are great companies doing a great job in what they do. How can you do something that's different and better? So
there are a couple of threads in that. I think one of the case studies we have in the book is blinds.com.
Okay.
These guys are a very successful top 100 internet retailer, many hundred millions of revenues. I've known this guy for a long, long time, and he has sold the business to Home Depot. So they not only nailed the category that turned out to be quite big, they were able to exit the business to a sizable retailer. So I think that's another path that is happening right now, is a lot of the brick and mortar retailers are starting to acquire successful brands in categories. So that's one example. And the other thought I have listening to you, Tod, is that Amazon, Walmart are very good at commodity products. If you are looking at products that have more differentiation, more of a user experience value or a brand experience value, there's more opportunity to create a differentiated brand experience, which Amazon cannot create.
Yeah. And by the way, on your blinds example, I think I haven't used the site myself personally, but my guess is they do blinds better than anyone else, right?
Absolutely.
Amazon and Home Depot carry this much in blinds. Blinds carries this much and does such a better job. That's an example of taking a category and just anticipating the customer needs, delivering on their needs better than anyone else. And my guess is they ship it faster and it comes, better packaged and all the measurement stuff. It's great. So Yeah, I think that, and diapers did that as well, and Zappos did it. So there's definitely ways to pick off these categories, but just make sure you're doing something special in those categories. Make sure you're doing it better.
That's the whole premise of specialty retail. Specialty retail focuses on a specific category and really knocks the ball out of the park in that particular category. That's how you build specialty retail businesses.
Yeah.
And by the way, there's specialty retail, the equivalent of specialty retail niche e-commerce happening at a grand scale, right? Each of these e-commerce platform vendors have hundreds of thousands of merchants selling. Like Shopify has 200,000 merchants. BigCommerce, which focuses on larger businesses, have 55,000 merchants. So there are like a good 500,000 merchants doing niche e-commerce out there very successfully. A lot of them very successfully. So there's a lot of companies out there that have proved out a category up to a point. They may not be at venture scale, but there's a lot of companies out there that have been able to carve out a niche by doing something somehow.
Yeah, can we just touch on that for a second? I don't think a lot of, for your audience, you don't need to be venture-backed. Venture-backed, it doesn't need to be the signal of success. There's a lot of great businesses direct to the consumer that you can build and you can own and can be wonderful businesses. And so when you move into the venture-backed model, all of a sudden there's all sorts of new expectations for outcome and scale and whatnot. But you can build a niche business, niche not being negative, niche being specialty, business that can perform extremely well and you can cash flow it. So I think it's always good to point out there's lots of options for entrepreneurs. They don't all have to, hit venture requirements.
So the philosophy of the 1M1M program, as you know, is that we support the bootstrap businesses, and that's really what's differentiated about us as a incubation program. In fact, the book is full of these specialty retail companies that are working on niches. There's a guy who, What You Want, this is another eBay seller who went to $6 million with just himself.
Wow.
Selling Panera watches, luxury watches, and then now they're $20 million a year.
That's awesome. Well, I think there's lots of opportunities like that out there.
Yeah, so it's really cool what's the level of opportunities, the diversity of opportunities, the extent of opportunities is very interesting in e-commerce right now. It's very robust because the consumer has really matured. There's very high velocity transactions going on in e-commerce. I want to take your mobile discussion a little bit further and ask you a couple of questions there. So there's the Uber kinds of businesses, right? Uber is, it's kind of, you are in a mobile mode. When you want to get a taxi, you are in a mobile mode. So there is Uber slides into people's natural instincts of buying a taxi experience, taxi ride experience. But not all of e-commerce has that characteristic. So this is a question that I've been kind of noodling in my head. I haven't really discussed with anybody, so this is a good opportunity to kind of kick it around a bit. So for example, if I'm actually, today fashion is a big category, and I believe very, very high potential category because it's finally turning and moving to online. If I want to do fashion shopping, honestly, I am absolutely not interested in doing it on my mobile. I want it on my cinema display. I want to have the full, as much information as possible, have as much of a feel for the fabric, everything basically. So, fashion is a gigantic category, and I think it will produce a lot of online brands in due course. And there's actually, people in London who are thinking that, oh, we want to be the online fashion capital of the world. People in New York are thinking the same. People in San Francisco are thinking the same.
Right.
There's a lot of, people wanting to stake a claim to that, positioning. But what are the drivers of mobile e-commerce? What categories are you seeing that are particularly interesting for mobile e-commerce?
Yeah. So I may surprise you by taking on fashion. So think about not only how you want to see it, but when you're able to see it. So mobile will affect fashion because you're going to have downtime on a bus or in a line or something like that. And fashion is often entertainment, right? Shopping is a lot of entertainment. And so what do you do when you have downtime? You want to be entertained, distracted, and mobile will have a big impact. We actually have real data on this. We're in a company called Threadflip. It's where women can sell clothes out of their own closets to a marketplace. And when we launched the new mobile platform, it just overtook all other platforms. I mean, took over the web dramatically. The mobile experience is by far most productive experience and most effective and efficient and most views and everything. And you think, well, why is that? And that's because people have more time often when they have more downtime when they're mobile, when they're waiting, when they're doing things. And plus, it's just the world we live in. So I actually, based on that experience, taking on fashion, which I agree with you is the hardest test for mobile, I think everything goes mobile. It's hard to imagine, things not going mobile, especially if you consider an iPad or these larger, right? The iPhone 6 Plus now is mobile. That you can see beautiful stuff there. So I actually think entrepreneurs should look at their business and say, how is mobile going to affect my category? Let's flip it around and say, how can I bring mobile and bring a better and improved experience versus anyone else? Because I think it will change absolutely every category, and the web will be longer term, will turn out to be more of a research site, kind of a harder core research experience, and mobile is going to be where you're doing stuff. You're seeing, you're transacting.
The point that you made about the phone becoming larger is actually the real driver.
Oh, it's really important, yeah.
Very important driver, because that makes visual merchandising viable, because in this tiny phones, visual merchandising is not very compelling, but in the larger phones with a better display quality, visual merchandising is viable.
Yeah, on Threadflip, they're selling $1,000 handbags and up, with mobile flips, because people, okay, this is Prada, this is beautiful, this is what I was looking for. Oh, there's another piece. I better get it now. It may not be there when I get home, right? So that's the other value of mobile, which is buy now. And so I think it is going to affect all the categories. I've really come around on this over the years, especially the new form factors and beautiful screens, to think that this is where we're going to be transacting.
All right, we have just about 3 minutes of this segment left. I want to ask you to give advice to our audience on where are some opportunities to look at. Besides the trends, there's mobile, there's brand and so forth. So if you can just provide a bit more concrete pointers, that would be great.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to take the approach of look around you for the opportunity. What I mean by that, it's probably something you're already familiar with, because if you're going to win in a consumer business, you need to have a passion and a knowledge base in that category that's better and deeper than anybody else. Maybe not like classroom better, but you have an instinct on how it can be improved, and it's probably because you're experiencing either a pain or a joy in that category. I know people who start bicycle tube companies and are doing really well. It's not venture back, but it's a really good business. They needed bicycle tubes. I'm using this because it's such a kind of unusual example, and they realized a lot of other people needed them, and they're really hard to find, really good tires and tubes, and you build these out like that. So my point is, you may find, my advice is find something that you see a gap in, something where you believe it can be improved, and then start to do it. Don't sit around and wait and write lots of different business plans. Just start, securing products, selling products, learning from your customer. And it's through that iterative cycle, you're going to learn if there's a need there or not, and what people resonate to or not. And you've got to be patient, because these companies take time. There are very few overnight successes in consumer businesses. They're usually about 5 years or 10 years older than you think. And so have patience, find a category you believe strongly in, make sure there's a business model in there. I mean, the thing I hate to see is when people do well in something and there's not any margin. So make sure there's a margin in the transaction. So if you get to high volume, you've got a good business. And so that's what we think about. And then is that customer base desirable? So if you secure the trust of that customer, is there an opportunity to go other places with them? So if you sell the first thing to them, can you sell others? So we look at how often do they purchase, what's the purchase cycle in that category? So if you start to think about that when you're looking at businesses, I think that'll help guide your audience towards help filter businesses that might be more attractive than not. again, something you can execute better than anybody else. If you do it, there's a business model. If you do it, there's a category. And if you do it, you can sell other stuff to them. That's right, sir. And just do it and learn and then figure it out.
Great. Thank you for being with us, Tod. It was a pleasure having you.
Thanks a lot. Good luck.
We're going to switch to the mentoring part of the program. And Tod, of course, you're welcome to stay. If you need to run, that's fine too. We are going to start with Jaskirat Singh, CEO of Webrosoft Solutions. Jaskirat, are you on the line?
Yeah, hi. Hi, Sumarna.
Yes, hi. Go ahead. Tell us, what are you working on?
All right. So I am from Ludhiana in Punjab in India, and we are we have developed mobile-based software. As of now, it's on Android on the client side, and it has a web-based backend. And what should we start with the presentation or?
Yeah, we'll go through your presentation. Absolutely.
All right. So I only see your slide, Tod Francis written on the slide. So am I on the? Do I need to do something to go next?
You don't need to do anything. The slides you sent in are on our screen. You just need to tell me to advance the slides as we come to it, and we go on from there.
All right. So I don't see that slide on my screen as of now. So have we started with that?
Hold on. We don't have time to teach you how to use WebEx in this call. If you're building a technology business, we expect that you know how to use these things. So you need to go through your presentation, whether you see your slide or not. We don't have time to debug that.
All right. Okay. So we have this product that we called Smart ITS, and this is basically a smartphone-based issue tracking system. And the core idea behind this is that it is an application that captures. It's a special camera basically that captures picture location using GPS and a timestamp using again the GPS signal, and these three things captured together with some more parameters which are domain specific to the application we are building. We capture those, and we have built a library or a platform around this, and using this we are building some applications for some specific domains. And as right now we have 3 customers. These are municipal corporations.
Customers that you have. So what kind of domains, what kind of applications, what are the use cases for these 3 customers that you have?
Yes, so these are 3 civic authorities, basically municipal corporations we call them here, and these are local governments in 3 different districts, and they are using 2 applications. First application is a citizens reporting tool. For example, citizens are reporting civic issues like, there are potholes in the road, there is some garbage littered around, or there's a street light not working. They just click, and one click it captures the picture, and it also captures the location using GPS and time. And it automatically processes and sends it across to the right department based on the department selected by the citizen. And this goes as a complaint basically to the backend. And that backend is operated by the municipal corporation that is our customer. And that is the core idea of the first application that we have. And there is a similar application that again one of the municipal corporations right now is using, where we use these pictures, which this is not used by citizens, but within the organization by the engineers to track their own projects. For example, they are building a road, a bridge, and so on. and they are using this application that runs on Android phones to capture these pictures along with locations and timestamps, and these go to the backend, which is a project tracking system, and they are placed there for each project in a chronological order. So the management can see in 3 months, the project has progressed. They can just see the 10 pictures of 10 weeks and see how far the project is going. So this is finding good success in these 3 municipal corporations that we have, and we are now looking at how to scale this up.
Okay. So let me ask you a few questions to kind of take this discussion to a stage where I can give you some input. So in the first case, the municipal corporation where your customer is a municipal corporation and you have kind of these issue tracking, something, the lights not working or garbage not being picked up, reporting system, how much is the municipal corporation paying you to do this with you? The question is, what is the deployment model? So how do the citizens get this app on their phones, and what kind of traction and adoption are you getting in a municipality being able to propagate an app to do something like this?
Right. So there are 2 applications. One, the one that citizens use, that is, there are 3 municipal corporations right now, and the first 2, basically we are giving it on SaaS model to them, and the third one that the most recent one that we signed up is around 4 lakhs per annum. The contract, that is the kind of size we have negotiated with them, and so in dollar terms, it would probably be like 7,000 or something per annum. And the second product is project tracking system. For that, we have got one corporation for 6 lakhs, that is around $10,000 per annum. And the second, again, we are discussing the same amount, and we are yet to finalize the contract. So that is the kind of
How long does it take to sell a $7,000 a year kind of deal?
See, in the last more than a year that we have been developing and selling, because the development cycle was going on along with the sales cycle, we were kind of we have done these four deals actually, which are signed, and 5th is in progress, and so that is the kind of sales we have been able to do till
basically sell one of the municipalities, 6 to 12 months to sell a municipality?
Well, 3 months is the kind of it would normally take. When we look at the last 2 sales that we did, they were about 3 months each for the entire process.
That's not too bad. And then what about the adoption? When a municipality subscribes to this application, to get the citizens to then adopt that so that the municipality can actually get that kind of crowdsourced data, what is
so the citizens application, one that is for the citizens, that actually, because this is something that is sort of interesting for the media also, they played it up in the media. We have got in the first city, which is Ludhiana, my own city, we got about 2,000 registered users and that many downloads for the app. It's on Google Play Store, free for them to download and install. So this is the kind of traction we got for the first one. And the second city, which is a smaller city, it's Mohali, the population is less. There we got about 500 users. And the third city is not yet officially launched, so we are yet to see the users. We have just signed the contract.
And what are the expectations of the cities in terms of how many people are going to be using these and reporting on stuff like this? What expectations are they working with?
Expectations of whom? Like municipal corporations?
How many consumers are going to engage with this process? Like you have 2,000 in Ludhiana. Is that?
Yeah.
according to expectation, or were they expecting 200,000?
See, there are like the population of Ludhiana is about 1 million. So, and probably the smartphones are about, I believe about 20% of them own a smartphone. But, and 1% of that is right now using this app. So I believe it will go up if it is promoted and advertised or something like that, which so far has not happened after launch. Launch was the only time when we got this opportunity in the media. And but as we go to more cities, I believe the traction will improve. And so once the buzz starts increasing, yeah.
That's a question that you need to drill down into, because if you want, see, you're trying to do a subscription, annual subscription fee kind of business model, whether annual or monthly.
No, we are not charging the end user. We are charging the municipal corporation.
Well, I understand that, but if you want the municipal corporation, your business model is a subscription business model where your client, paying client, is a municipal corporation. So the municipal corporation is, if you want them to continue paying you on a regular basis, month over month or year over year, and you have to meet their expectations in terms of consumer engagement. If the consumers don't engage with the product, then the product is not useful.
Right.
So you're going to need to
the feedback we are.
No, let me finish. You have to track how many users are engaging with this application, and how much activity are they reporting? Are they really doing something? Is the government actually getting, is the municipality actually getting input through this process? Because otherwise, come renewal time, they're not going to renew.
Right. So first two municipalities, the first one has already renewed, and the second one we are again getting positive feedback, at least from the offices. And the users are, they are also giving positive. We have spoken to many users actually during the course of last few months, and the feedback is positive. So on that count, I believe the numbers are not very high. 2,500 is not a big number, but whoever is using is kind of is rating it high. So their expectations are at least getting fulfilled.
So anyway, this is a question that you're going to need to put metrics around, numbers around, of what kind of numbers do you need for this to be called a success from a municipality's point of view? What kind of reporting volume do you need from a municipality's point of view? So this is one thing I would kind of categorize and create metrics around, so that when you go into selling to the other municipalities, you can use that as case studies, customer use cases to sell with. Part of the process of selling and exporting. Right now, you're working with 3 to 5 municipalities. If you want to work with 50 municipalities or 500 municipalities, all that is very doable. But the sales cycle is going to get faster when you show them use cases and value. And that's what's going to
Right. So, that is true. And actually, the project tracking, the second application, that does not have that kind of, you may say, problem, or and actually we are kind of we sort of now are believing that this project tracking is being lapped up much better than the complaints app. So we are focusing more on this now, and we are kind of the citizen reporting app. We are although we are trying our best to get more and more users, but unless there is some media buzz or there is some advertising support from municipalities, that may take some time, or that may be a slightly slower process. So though we are trying our best on that.
Project tracking, the way you are presenting it, is not really project tracking. Project tracking is a much bigger field. It's a much more competitive field. There are many more players in that, and that's not just showing pictures and sending pictures to some place. That's project tracking is a whole different field altogether. That's a different business.
Yeah. I understand. Maybe this is the wrong term that I'm using. Maybe.
Wrong term.
Right. So but this tracking app, is being used by one municipal corporation, and they are tracking projects worth 600 crores using it, and they are very happy and satisfied. So maybe we can rename it as something else. But it is solving a big pain point for them, which is basically that they were getting a lot of progress misreported by their officers and so on. So this is kind of solving that problem, which is for them at a scale of 600 crores of projects per annum, even a few percentage points makes a lot of difference. So maybe we could call it some progress tracking tool or something. But this is at least our first customer is very happy.
You need to flesh that out, because right now the way you're positioning it, you're going to run up against, there is a project tracking category, there's a project management, project tracking category that is being sold, software category that's being sold to construction companies, and this, at least what you're calling it now, is going to send you right against them, and that's an established category. So I think there are issues with your positioning. I would say first and foremost you should figure out what business do you want to be in, what are the dynamics of that business, how to position that business, and so forth. So there are a lot of work to be done here, just to establish those basics.
Okay.
All right. We're going to move to Adam Jervis. Adam?
Hello.
All right. Thank you.
Hi, this is Adam Jervis. I'm the owner of Ulink here in Issaquah, Washington, close to Seattle. And what I do is I focus on the transition from high school to college. And the basic idea behind this is I was a teacher for 20 years and loved writing and all those elements. And what I wanted to do was to help kids. That's my bottom line, I suppose, in many ways, but in a business format. And what I do is work with them on the college essay. That's one part of my business. And basically my market, in terms of my customers, are parents of children. Most of us, well, in fact, all of us want our kids to do well. We want our kids to be successful. And these days, the college essay is definitely part of that piece in terms of getting them accepted. But to me, it's about them telling their own story. It's about the kids being able to really formalize who they are to people who are making the decisions about their future in terms of the college admissions people. Mm-hmm. And I want to do it, I do it in a way such that they can, I do an initial workshop, which we'll see in a moment, but the initial workshop is it's 3 hours, and I can get all kids basically to 80% done, and then I do 2 other pieces later on with them to make quite sure that the essay is, completed out, and all of the other aspects of the writing elements of the college application are taken care of. I've been doing it for 2 years, very successfully. I have had, I think it's 70 clients go through, and it's fascinating hearing the stories. And so that's on that side. That's important to me, and helping them along the way is very important to me. On the business side, this market is huge and is growing worldwide. It's growing not only here. I've done some work in China with regards to, on Skype successfully, and each kid is different, and that's sort of the issue. And then the second part of my business is doing the college search, which I do individually. But then the other part, which is the retention piece in college. So what we're finding is about 40% of kids who go to college initially are turning around and leaving for whatever reason. And part of that is that they're just not prepared. They're not prepared for that particular piece. And so the idea is to work with workshops for them to help them understand what college involves, and so they can be successful. I mean, ultimately, that's my goal, is for kids to be successful and to get the most out of life in terms of their college experience. I really call it bridging the gap, whereby you have to get into college, so you need the college essay. You need to choose the right college. That goes to the next piece. Making quite sure you're choosing the right college, not just because your parents went there or whatever, but something that really fits you like a glove. And then the next piece is, when you're going to college, do you understand it? Do you have all of those pieces? Where we are here in Ithaca, we find that a lot of kids are just not ready. And part of it is they just don't have the information. They don't understand what college is about. They have been looked after in many different ways by their folks, which is wonderful, but at the same time, they're now on their own, and how do they cope with just simple things, to be honest with you? And then the last group is athletes. I've been a college coach for years and years, and I find that with athletes, it's a different deal again, but they need to understand that, going into a college program, that they're not going to be number one, and how this all works, and what skills do they need, particularly social skills, in terms of them being successful. Next slide. So the workshops themselves, and what I talk about here is, basically they have to write an essay that will distinguish them from anybody else. I mean, it's as simple as that. It's really just telling who they are. Next slide, please. So the workshop itself, why it's so important, what the admissions officers are looking for. I have lots of questions to guide them. They have work time, and then they work in a one-on-one environment. And then after the workshop and reflection time, they do 2 further 1-hour meetings related to the writing aspects. I always find that
What do you charge for the college essay, the workshop, and one-on-one, and the whole package? What is
okay, excellent question. I charge $350.
$350 for the whole thing, for the workshop plus the one-on-one?
Yeah, it is. That's one of the issues is trying to find what that. I think the market can bear a higher fee, but at the same time, I want to encourage people to go. So I'm sort of stuck. That's one of the questions I actually have for you, is in terms of that pricing piece. I have it priced there, and I'm, so it's difficult to know with regards to that. But that's the price I charge.
How do you acquire customers?
I have a website. I work through doing presentations in the community. I'm associated with soccer clubs, and so I work through them as well. And what I've tried to do is gradually build a network of sort of places that I can go to that kids are involved in. So I feel like sports is a really important one for most kids, and try and get them through that. I also coach, so all my colleagues who I coach with are very willing to pass all my information on. And so it gets spread over a wide area, but the actual marketing piece itself is hard for me to do, because I have all the creative piece and the concept and the idea, but where to go and how to use the social media and those type of things, and that's not in my wheelhouse in that sense.
What is your aspiration? What are you trying to do with this business?
That's a great question, and the answer to that is to be able to create something that is on two levels. One is that reproducible. The college workshops are reproducible in terms of I could teach you how to do it and how to go through it. And so the idea there is to expand a network of both here, in Seattle, and then go across cities across America and elsewhere. So that, with the workshops themselves, that would be
why is that important to do it in person? Why is that not an online service, online workshop?
Again, great question. I wanted to, for the last 2 years, is to find out what it is exactly in terms of what pieces exactly make this work. And so for the last 2 years, that's what I've been doing. And I've been doing it obviously with people who are in my living room, so to speak. And from that, I have learned a tremendous amount. And now I've changed it dramatically from where I first started out to where it is now. I mean, it started out in a completely different way. I started out with just the workshop. It was 4 hours. And then I did no follow-up. And then I found with working with the customers that now I'm at that point. Online, absolutely. And at this point, that's where I want to go. But I had to reach that point of knowing exactly what the product was in terms of its value before I felt like I could go out on, using online services.
So you haven't answered my question. What is your aspiration?
My aspiration is to make this into a successful company that basically bridges the gap. And so I would like to have a number of offices, franchise it, that type of situation in terms of being able to replicate those services across the states and across the world.
So you need to learn how to build a business, Adam.
Right. Well, that's sort of what I'm learning to do. I mean, yeah.
And that's what we do, is to teach people how to build businesses.
Right, and that's why I'm talking to you, so that I can learn. I mean, it's about trying to figure this out.
So I'm going to suggest that you hang on for a bit. I will talk about how we work with people. I cannot teach you how to market your services in 3 minutes, right? You have to go through.
Sure, of course.
You have to invest some time and energy and budget to learn that. So I will explain to you, though, how we teach what we teach. So if you just hang on for a few minutes, I will get to that in a moment. And let me see. So actually, let's do that. Let's kind of go over how we work with you, and then we will get back to Q&A in a moment. So, by the way, if you like what we are doing here, please recommend serious entrepreneurs to 1M1M. And the term serious is really important, because you cannot build a business overnight. Every business takes time to build, and it's a many-year commitment. And we are not really interested in people who have convoluted ideas or unrealistic ideas about what it takes to build a business. We are interested in people who really are interested in following a rigorous process, learning how to put one foot before the other in how to build a business, and then execute on what you learn from us. But we are not going to build your business for you. We can teach you how to build a business. We can coach you on how to build a business, but you're going to have to do the work. So we're like a gym. We offer you a lot of machines and training, but you're going to have to work out to get in shape. That's the premise, that's the philosophy of the program. So let me walk you through the resources we offer here. We have everything on the website, 1mby1m.com. We have a very powerful, comprehensive blog that you can start using, and you will learn a lot just by following the blog. The Entrepreneur Journeys book series, of which we have already published 9 books, and the most recent being eCommerce to Web 3.0, which is what we are we've launched this month. Each of these books double-click on a particular topic, and uses case studies and experiences of experienced entrepreneurs to teach you something. So look at the roster and see if there's anything in that roster that you want to learn. And it's essentially available on Kindle. So it's all on the Kindle device, it's on the Kindle app, on all the smartphones, and it's available around the world, so you can buy it online. And these are very easy to read books. They are, you know, quick reads, crisp stuff. So depending on what issues you're working with, you can certainly use the books. This is what the website looks like, by the way, which is where most of our resources are situated. So the videos, by the way, are FAQ videos. You will, you know, to understand the program and evaluate the program, that's where you would go. Every Thursday we have these roundtables, and as you can see, we are inviting guests who throw light on specific topics and help understand trends. And also we do these mentoring portions in the roundtables as well. This is an ongoing series that's been going on for a long time. You're very welcome to take advantage of that as you go along. You need to go to the website and register to either pitch or attend to be able to receive the rest of the instructions. Then we have what we call the 1M1M Premium Program, and that offers extensive methodology guidance on exactly how to put one foot before the other in building your business. And we have many customers, many entrepreneurs who are learning how to be entrepreneurs, successful, sophisticated entrepreneurs using this program. It's a proven program. We know we can teach you what you need to learn. We have a very strong curriculum. I will tell you more about it in just a moment. We also help you with business development. Where we have connections, we will introduce you to potential customers, channel partners. If you are fundable, then we will introduce you to investors. Depending on where you are, like you're in Silicon Valley in one afternoon, we could introduce you to 35 venture capitalists or more. In South Africa, that's probably not going to be the case. But you know, in a lot of geographies now, there are critical masses of investors, and we would be able to introduce you to investors if you have created a fundable pitch. And that is, you know, easier said than done. You know, over 99% of the businesses out there get rejected by venture capitalists, and we do a lot of work with you ahead of time so that we, you know, reduce your chances of being rejected. That doesn't mean people don't get rejected. Of course, people get rejected because, you know, there's a lot of issues in actually getting a VC to invest in you. Each VC in 1 year invests in 4 to 5 businesses. So to be one of the 4 to 5 for a VC is not an easy task. But at least we know what they're looking for, and we will be able to get you a lot more prepared and enhance your chances of acceptance greatly. That's what we do on the funding side. We will provide you with all the diagnostic material and help you prepare for getting together with VCs, and when you're ready, introduce you to VCs. So we do have a lot of access and a lot of relationships. We also help you with media relations. So we have a lot of clout in the media, and it's hard for entrepreneurs to get media coverage. So that's something we understand and acknowledge, and we use our relationships and clout to get you coverage so that you can get yourself out there. All this, by the way, is part of our premium program that costs a $1,000 annual membership fee, and you can be in the program for as long as you need to, multiple years. We have lots of people who are in the program for several years, and it does take years to build businesses. So that's fine. We are not trying to squeeze a bit of knowledge into you in 3 months and then kick you out of the program. We will be there with you as long as you need us to be helping you. If you go to the website, the $1 Million Club gives you some case studies of successful entrepreneurs in the program. The value equation, the 1M1M value equation, also on the website, is an ROI analysis of the 1M1M program. Remember, we only charge a $1,000 annual membership fee, and we do not charge any equity. To access all the resources and services that we offer outside in the open market, it would cost you $375,000 plus 5 to 10% of equity, and that's a lot of money. So we are really committed to our philosophy of democratization of entrepreneurship development, and that's why we are doing what we are doing at the price point at which we are doing it. And we have figured out a way to achieve that level of knowledge transfer at a price point that is affordable to early stage entrepreneurs. You can look at the 1M1M self-assessment. It's a good piece, good exercise to put yourself through to be able to calibrate your business. There's tons of information on the website through which you can evaluate our program. The video FAQs are very helpful in answering your questions. The curriculum is delivered in case studies and video lectures. So we have had over 600 successful entrepreneurs, and this ranges from people who have bootstrapped successful businesses to many $1 million in revenues. Also people who have raised a lot of venture capital, people who have built billion-dollar businesses, taken their companies public, sold their companies. We have a whole spectrum of case studies. So you will be able to understand and evaluate all the different possibilities and paths and learn from these people. And it really simulates the experience of sitting down with them and getting mentored by them based on their experiences. So, and the extensive mentoring experience that we have, we've triangulated these two bodies of work to create a really powerful curriculum that we launched at the end of 2010, and we have enriched and enhanced that curriculum every single month since then. So it's a really rich body of work that you will learn a tremendous amount from if you put in your part of the work, because you have to study. You know, part of learning is studying, and you're going to have to study based on the material that we provide. The core curriculum has 7 topics, and you have to learn all 7 topics because this is the core of entrepreneurship. Bootstrapping, positioning, market sizing, customer validation, financing, customer acquisition, and team building. All of these are important topics. You have to learn them. Electives are where you can pick and choose. We have Web 3.0 in e-commerce, cloud computing and business solutions, outsourcing and consulting, mobile and social apps, healthcare, IT, online education, gaming, and then we have new modules actually for women and entrepreneurship, building unicorn companies. These are billion-dollar companies. All these are new modules that we have added. So there's a tremendous curriculum value that you will get through the program. Our methodology is lean, capital-efficient, bootstrap startups. And even if you raise money, you just heard Todd explain this to you, VCs are looking for businesses to fund, which means that you have to take your concept to a validated business that is revenue generating, even if it's little bits of revenue, but you're going to have to go through several years of bootstrapping before you are ready for financing. So it's not because we think bootstrapping is cool that we ask you to bootstrap. We ask you to bootstrap because that is really the only way you can actually get a business off the ground. On the media side, if you go to the press page and look at the coverage of premium members, you will see the kind of coverage we generate. We also give you access to our extensive social media channels. So Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, the blog, everything we give you access to, through which you can propagate your messages. We have an affiliate program, and so that's, essentially available for you to, if you want to partner with us, it's something that you can use. That's pretty much it as far as overview of the program. I am going to have to switch handsets because it shows that I'm running out of battery. So I will be right back. I'm going to have to put you on hold for just 1 second, and you can chat in public chat in the meantime, and I will be right with you. Sorry about that, folks. It's never happened before that my battery ran out in the middle of this call. So anyway, we are ready for Q&A. We do have time for Q&A as well. So if you want to call in, we can definitely take calls from the audience. I will put up the call-in instructions in a moment. By the way, we do have an incubator in a box program that we use for working with partners and to run incubation programs with our partners. So we have a lot of corporate partners, and if you are looking to partner with us, you're very welcome to do that. If you're an incubator in another part of the world trying to build a bridge with Silicon Valley, that's also a mode in which we would work with you. Reminder, new book, From E-Commerce to Web 3.0. It's a very cool book, and you will learn a lot, especially if you're working in the e-commerce field. It's definitely a hot field right now. It monetizes relatively easily if you can find the right niche, and people are building great businesses in the area. So call-in instructions are on your screen. Please let us know if anybody wants to call in and talk. And of course, you have the public chat available to introduce yourselves and you know, discuss anything you would like to discuss. I don't see a lot of questions or comments in the public chat today. Nobody has questions? Aditi Chada. So to make sure I understand correctly, the premium membership program for 1K annually is akin to an incubation program. It is an incubation program. It is not akin to an incubation program. It is an incubation program. Anybody else? No? All right. If you guys are done, you have all your answers, everything that you wanted to talk about, let me introduce you to Irina Patterson. Irina is the person to call if you have questions about the 1M1M program. Her phone number is 786-301-2456, Irina at 1mby1m.com. Skype ID is Irina_Patterson. I see a question, Jaskirat Singh, asking, should we try to market outside India for our products? You know, your product right now is extremely immature. You know, it is neither positioned nor, you have the beginnings of a bit of an idea. You're testing it with some companies, with some clients, not companies. You're testing it with municipalities and governments. You could try to market it in India, outside of India, but you have to get very specific about what you want to market. You presented two different products, and you need to decide on which one you want to market. As I told you, the construction one is extremely crowded, but the one that you presented actually for municipalities, that's an interesting idea, and that may be something that would have a market internationally. I haven't done the comparative analysis. I have no idea. I would encourage you to do the comparative analysis and figure out what's you know, what you see there. But it could have an applicability outside. You could look into that. Anybody else? Competitive positioning, folks, is incredibly important. You have to find a gap in the market. You cannot go into a market and you know, where there's so much competition that you have no way of differentiating and no way of competing. You have to go into a market by doing something that people are looking for, that is an unserved or underserved situation. Please do not send me private messages. This is a public chat. So Khairul Anwar, please cut and paste your question to the public chat. Your question is, what's your advice on online learning MOOC? What kind of advice are we talking about? If you want to use a MOOC to learn, sure, go ahead. And if you're trying to build a MOOC, MOOCs don't monetize very well. These are not great businesses. That's what the MOOC companies are learning. Anybody else? Questions, comments? Otherwise, we're going to get going. I'm sure you all have a lot of work, so I certainly do. So you plan to build a MOOC platform. You plan to build a MOOC platform like Coursera? This is not a good business. They're finding out that these companies don't monetize very well. So here's our philosophy. As far as 1M is concerned, the philosophy is, if you want to build a business, a basic principle is you have to make money. You know, so to sustain yourself, that business needs to be able to generate revenues, you know, cater to customers, generate revenues, and generate profits. And it's not clear that Udemy, Coursera can, you know, generate revenues that well. Udemy is a little bit different. Coursera is a real MOOC. Udemy is slightly different. Udemy has created a platform where experts create courses and then they sell courses. Actually, they have free courses, but they also sell courses. Coursera is a slightly different model where everything is supposed to be free, and this whole business of everything is supposed to be free is a philosophy that I do not buy. I don't think you can build businesses around that philosophy. Would content development a better aspect of e-learning, like you said, Udemy? I don't understand. What do you mean, would content development be a better aspect of e-learning? Udemy does not develop content at all. Udemy creates kind of like a place where experts go and present their content and sell their courses. Jaskirat Singh, I want to do comparative research on project tracking, especially if they're mobile phone based. Are there any pointers? Well, there are products out there. You should definitely look at what Autodesk is doing in that area. You need, you know, project management, especially in the construction area. There's an Australian company that also does construction project management, and I know we have their case study on our blog. I can't remember the name of the company. So you have to dig around in our blog to find it. Khairul Anwar, I mean, create a place where people can contribute content and monetize independently. I think you answered that just now. Yes, I did. Yeah. One of the best companies with that model is Pluralsight. You should take a look at Pluralsight. We have the case study on our blog. Okay, folks, I think Pluralsight, S-I-G-H-T, in one word. Anyone else? Okay, folks, we will see you back here next week, and we will continue with exciting discussions and also working through your pitches and issues in terms of business building. Thank you for being here today, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Bye-bye.